Welcome everyone, this is Matt from drawingtutorialsonline.com with another live stream. And I don't know if you can look out my window over my right shoulder, but we've got like a serious rain windstorm. So I am hoping that we retain our electricity and thus our Wi-Fi. So let's keep fingers crossed. If I go out, it's just because we might have lost power just for a second. It usually comes back quickly. But welcome, welcome, welcome. In today's class, first what I'm going to do is a little bit of a warm-up. And then maybe during the warm-up, I'm also going to do like a quick sketch of this pose that you see here. Where did I get the reference? Well, I've been buying my reference from Graphit Studio, and you can check them out. I messaged them for an affiliate link, but they haven't gotten back to me, so I'll just keep referring their website for free, and I'm cool to do that as well because they've got really, really good photo reference, and it's not that expensive. So thank you, everybody who took the time to join me here today. Just finished up the fall semester at the School of Visual Arts in the animation department. 85 classes, I think. Wasn't absent for one. So 15-week semester times 5 classes, I think that's 85. I don't know. But I finished strong. I was really psyched about that. Welcome, Phoenix, and welcome, Cloudtooth, Mareem, and ABCGEFP. Okay, so now just a quick side note here. We're gonna get to drawing in like less than a minute. I promise. You're not coming here to listen to me talk. I understand that. For everyone who gave me a card and a gift for the end of the semester, I thank you. I sent a couple people emails. Canvas, the software for the college, once the semester is over, it doesn't let me email you anymore. So yeah, I just want to say thank you. I know most of you are not watching, but if you do watch, thank you very much. I just looked in my bag and I saw a card. It was like so chaotic. The last little bit of school with tons of like chaos with the students, that yeah, people just slip me stuff and I'm like, thank you. And I'm like talking to 5 people at one time. So thank you very much for everyone who gave me a card and a little gift. And I really appreciate you. All right. So let's do a little warm up. I'm going old school today. I've got so many of these black it would be nice if I actually switch cameras. Okay, so YouTube, this is not full nudity. I do have a edit over the nude part. So let's go to the figure right now. Yeah, let's go here. All right, cool. So this is what we're going to attempt to draw. And it's really, really, really dark in my studio right now. And when it's dark, yeah, it just video doesn't look as good as when it's really, really light. I mean, I've got some great lights in my studio. However, it's really, really dark. Okay. So, yeah, I'm using my old school black coal erase. I find that the black is my favorite. And let me zoom out a little bit because I'm pretty zoomed in. And I've got like a pencil extender. Oh, no, Matt, that's called zooming in. This is called zooming out. Let's see. All right, I'm going to move my sheet of paper over. That's what I thought. All right, listen, I apologize. We're almost to drawing. I should have zoomed all the way out. I don't want you to see my screen. That kind of looks a little unprofessional. So I'm going to move this over. And we're going to be drawing. We're going to be drawing. And I'm going to teach you some good stuff here today. So I think that's cool right there. All right, and let me just lift this up. And the last time I drew something was on Tuesday for my last Thursday class. Tuesday is Thursday to close out the semester. It's an SVA thing. Okie dokie. It's technically a Thanksgiving thing, but yeah, you have no idea what I'm talking about. Okay, so let's do this. Let's warm up. So my warm up is my ovals. I love my ovals. And black pencil feels so different than the green. So I've got my first oval, I've got my second oval, I've got my third oval, and I'm just kind of using a continuous line. that shimmies all the way down the sheet of paper. And in all honesty, this is identical to drawing the figure. So now what we're going to do here is we're going to do our letter C. Okay, we're going to do our letter C with a continuous line, and then we're going to do an opposite letter C, and then we're going to do a little letter C, a longer opposite letter C, a letter C. We're going to flow now a little bit more. So this is a rhythmic dance down the body. Okay, this is the most important thing. I do it all the time when I do the live stream, and I get you, but listen, repetition is the mother of skill. This is if you're drawing tight and stiff, it's because you're not practicing this. This is everything, okay? And then there's other things that you could also practice before we start to draw the figure, and that would be your long line of action. Your long line of action is very good. Sometimes you have shorter connector lines that are S curves or longer C curves. So this is huge right now, huge right now. And then the last thing, instead of me drawing something to the right, because I want to save that kind of for a quick sketch of this figure, I'm going to just go around the oval, around the oval, around the oval, around the oval, and I'm doing it with an elliptical shape, an ellipse. And these ellipses are phenomenally they're just phenomenal for loosening up. And when I don't draw like this, oh my goodness gracious, I draw really stiff. Okay, so this is what you need to do if you enjoy doing quick sketch figure drawing, and you want to get looser with your artwork, and you want to get rid of the stiff quality to your drawings. Now, I think I just kind of like screwed up today with my placement with the paper, but it's all good. So now, how is this the figure? Okay, so with the figure, this is just a sketch, people. This isn't the final piece. So I like to start with an ellipse. I don't start in the same place every time. Every time's different, depends on the pose. But I'm starting with an ellipse for our model's shoulders, and simultaneously I'm getting the tilt. And then I'm going to do the ribcage area, which is right about there. And I'm going to go here, even though I just see a little bit of the oblique slash model's left hip. And then I'm going to cruise right on down to the model's butt hip over here, which now as I do this, I'm looking at my length. And I'm not going to copy the square hip because our model is on one of those, seated on one of those pegs. And I don't like the square hip look that much. So now, look, I'm going to this flow line to that upper leg. And this would be more of, look at the length of the upper leg. And this would be more of that kind of line of action slash connector that goes down to our model's foot. So, hi, Sandy, welcome. So this is how, and then we go right back up to the opposite letter C for our model's face. Okay, and it's I exaggerated, it's to the left, but it's all good. And then I can do a connector all the way down to the model's other foot, and that's going to be off camera. So maybe something like that. So this is a very, very good way. Let me zoom out a touch again here. I'm sorry. Let me zoom out again. There we go. I want to get a new camera, and I've been saying I'm going to get a new camera, but the new camera I want to get, I cannot use the remote. I've got an old school camera, and it is like so durable, but I need to like upgrade. But the upgrade is a phenomenal camera, but I don't think I have the capability to zoom on it with a remote. And this is such a huge tool that I love to use. So look, everything on this entire page looks the same. The ovals look the same as my opposite C's. The opposite C's look the same as my rhythm lines. My rhythm lines look the same as my quick sketch. So now, let's talk about some things that you need to be aware of, all right? So the first thing that you need to be aware of is you can start I'm going to start here when I draw our model. I'm going to start at the rib cage. So the technique that I'm going to use is I'm going to spiral out from an area that looks easy for me to draw. Okay, let me, 1 second. Just want to put this down on my piece of paper. Awesome. So yeah, I'm going to start at the rib cage. I don't know if I'm going to start in a gestural way. Technically, I should because that's the best way to draw. Now, look, other things that you're going to look for. You're going to draw from our model's hip, which is kind of here, all the way down to the model's foot. Okay, and then this, you're going to rhythm down to the other foot. But when you start to draw things on the torso, like don't do something like, you're going to draw the breast like this perfectly like round thing like that. No, that breast is going to live on this elliptical line that is wrapping around the cylinder of our model's body. And is the breast like low? Does it curve like that? Yes, it does. I see that it does. But it lives on that ellipse, okay? And then you can get in over here a couple of ribs. You're going to look at the distance from the breast to the rib cage, which I already screwed up on it. So then we can bring in our rib cage a little bit. We're going to also look for the center line, the navel. You don't have to, I may not want to curve the hip once I start to draw. Maybe my shoulders could be tilted a little bit more, so I'm going to get this pectoralis muscle. The center of the breast is just going to be drawn with a circle, and then I'm going to try to gesture out this arm foreshortened and look for the fingertips in relationship to the bottom of that leg. And yeah, so these are the things that you want to be very, very mindful of. And I'm going to maybe now, I'd rather have this leg longer. It feels like a little short, so maybe over here I'm going to use some angles, but make no mistake about it, that's got to flow into the top of the model's foot. And how long from, say, the hamstring area to the heel, you want to look for that. So like what we're doing right now is we're just kind of pre-gaming. We're pre-gaming this pose, and we're trying to look for some things to be aware of. With this leg, it's a very awkward shaped leg. And the knee, wow, okay, so interesting. The knee is all the way towards the middle of this foot. And wow, I didn't even see that. So I might treat this leg as a silhouetted shape, and I may not, really, really detail it out. And then I'm also going to look at the distance from, so it's very important that I get, maybe what I should do is draw this hip accurately first and then change it, just so I can get the vibe of how long is this to this like calf muscle down over here. And then this just could be another silhouetted shape. I'm looking at the heel to the butt, and that's off camera, so I won't really draw it. Now, in terms of a live stream, do I really want to get this arm all the way up, which means I'd have to kind of zoom out a lot? I don't know. I haven't decided that yet. But I would have to kind of like zoom out a little bit. So this is a really nice flowy way to draw this pose. All right, let me just get a little swig of coffee here. Okie dokie. So the other thing that you can also do is you can also think about some shading. So I'm going to shade over here, and I'm going to shade around the hip. I was just watching. I don't go on Instagram that much anymore. I should, because I have an online business, and it would be nice if I actually promoted what I have. But I don't really go on Instagram that much because I feel as though it's just really messing with my focus. And I like YouTube so much better with long form educational content. That's the social media that I really like. So yeah, we're gonna do some. I forgot what I was even gonna say there, but I want to take a little bit of time to talk about this drawing a little bit more, and but I just wanted to kind of pre-game it for you, so you can look for some pitfalls. Another thing that you want to think about is maybe you're going to start this face with a little bit of shading, and I just try, I plead, I beg my students to draw the shape of our model's hair. It's such like low-hanging fruit. It's easy to do, and a lot of students just do the oval for the head. Don't do the oval for the head. Like there's way more to doing a figure drawing than just always doing the same thing with the oval for the head. So okay, other things that I want you to take into consideration as you're drawing. Why can't I remember what the heck I was going to say? Is, hey, what's right across from the hip? What is below this model's shoulder? That's a good question. What is below that shoulder? It's kind of the heel, not the edge of the heel, but the center of the heel, like over here. So I'm not that bad. And then, hey, what's right across from the center of that breast? So this is what students in my classes dislike. At least I think they dislike this when I talk about this stuff because it's so analytical. But I feel like you have to be a little analytical, and you have to be analytical, and you have to be flowy. And when you mesh those two together, that's when you're going to get flow. All right. And you don't really need to be doing this thing where you're like, oh, God, it needs to be absolutely perfect. A lot of this just kind of depends on your personal style. And a lot of this depends on what is this drawing process all about for you. Excuse me. Is it about realism? Is it about gesture? Is it about movement? Is it about just enjoying yourself and not being so strict with the proportions and all of that? So go into the drawing with a clear mindset, okay, as to what you want this drawing to be all about. Now, how big is this? I'm going to say I kind of naturally draw sight size when I'm at home. There goes my kneaded eraser on the floor. And so this is, I'm going to say the figure's 8.5 inches tall. I want to measure it from the foot to the head on my iPad reference. Ooh, it's 7. Okay, so I didn't do sight size. I drew bigger, which is good. Okay. All right, questions so far. What does the lines mean? What lines are you talking about, Batman? Because there's a lot of lines on the paper. Yeah, you need to be more specific. Okay. Let's start with the finish. I'm just waiting for Batman. Batman, type that in. What do you mean exactly? What does the lines mean? It's Kendra G writes. Hey, Kendra G. Okay. All right, let me just get started here. Let me move this, and let's move our warm-up. Okay. And let's put this aside. Grab another sheet of paper. Wow, holy wind, that just blew the windows. Oh, I don't want this piece of paper. It's creased. Okay, hold on. Oh boy, I'm all thumbs today. Good God. All right, got 14 million pieces of paper here. I'm all thumbs. Sweet. Almost there. The ones under the legs and up to the shoulder. All right, let me look at that for a second. Okay, so Batman, these are just measure lines. You're asking yourself the question. You don't need to draw these lines on your piece of paper. When you see an artist like holding their pencil out like this, or a paintbrush, they're measuring like what's right below the shoulder. Oh, it's the middle of the heel. What's right across from the butt? Oh, God, that's where the negative space is. What's right across from the center of the breast? Oh, that center of the breast is a quarter of an inch lower on my sheet of paper. So if you aren't drawing accurately, you're not drawing these measure lines, or a different way for me to say that is that you are not thinking about these measure lines in your mind. Okay. And that's really what you, in the beginning, when you're learning how to draw, you maybe want to draw these lines on your piece of paper and don't feel so completely like married to the drawing where it has to be perfect. But if you have been drawing for a few years, just do this quickly in your mind's eye. All right, so now this is a different way to draw. And maybe I'm not going to draw with spiraling out from. I'm going to start here. This is the center of my paper. Okay, so I'm going to say this is our model's rib cage area right here. Now, I'm probably not going to draw our model's arm here on the live stream. And I'm going to zoom in. I know this probably doesn't look too good right now because I'm so far away from zoomed out. But just bear with me. I promise you, I'll zoom in. All right, so I've got our model's rib cage, but I'm going to now go down to the waist, and then I'm going to go down to our model's gluteus medius / hip, and then I'm going to go down to the square hip, and I'm going to draw it what I see accurately. And I'm not pressing down hard on my sheet of paper, okay? So I promise you, YouTube, I'm going to zoom in. I just want to place this. So I'm going to deviate from my plan, and I think I'm going to draw a little quicker. I'm going to draw a little quicker just to place, so for the camera. And then we said this leg is kind of long, and then we said it's actually easier for me to draw looser. I could draw with this. It's a little slow for a live stream. So now I said that was the hip. Okay, so now I've got my sheet of paper and I'm going to center it. I've got like a rough idea of where this model is going to be on the piece of paper. So for this video, this live stream, I want this to be bigger so it's not so small. I'm trying not to go slow. I am trying to go somewhat fast. Okay, now good. I'm going to lower this so I don't have to like destroy my hand reaching up so high. Sweet. Okay, I think that's good enough for now. Let's just kind of get this body going. All right. Cool. And I'll zoom in even more momentarily. So right here is kind of our model's rib cage. Okay, rib cage, obliques. I just want to solidify this area, and now we have gluteus medius, and that rolls in, and then I'm going to get our model's iliac crest, the hip, pelvis bone is there. Okay, I'm just going to give myself a target for the other side. And yeah, it's early, and I'm already using an eraser. It's early, and I shouldn't be doing this, but I'm going to do it. Okay, just don't want that to be there. Okay, now what I'm going to do is, okay, I've got my rib cage. I'm just going to start to go inside and place some body part inside of the torso. So I'm establishing that this is my torso. I'm sorry, this is my iliac crest, top of the pelvis. Now, where's the bottom of the breast? Okay, where is the bottom of the breast? What is that distance? Everything now is going to be predicated on this. So this is going to be, so that rib cage blends right into the underplane of the breast. I'm going to get the center of the breast, and then I'm going to get the pectoralis muscle that kind of goes up to the deltoid. So now, okay, I'm pretty cool with that. For now, I'm not saying it's perfect. So now this other breast is over here, and it has a tilt. So I'm going to do like a little ellipse, and and then this would be the other side of the rib cage. And I can already see that I've got my, so I could raise the leg. I could raise the leg. So I'm just going to kind of map that out. Yes, I am outlining. I totally am. Wow, the winds. Holy shit. Interesting. Okay, so now I'm going to say tensor fasciae latae, and then this leg goes up. And now I'm looking at the distance from here to the bottom of the breast. So it angles up pretty strongly. And I'm going to get that length of that leg. The only thing I don't like about this paper sometimes is it buckles. This is Strathmore. I'm drawing on Strathmore 400 paper. And as soon as you get like a little heat from your hand on the paper, it totally starts to buckle a little bit. Yeah, it's time for coffee, Kendra. Yeah, absolutely. So yes, now, all right, let's extend this to the underarm area. And I'm looking at the distance now from the pectoralis to the breast to the lat muscle area. And so now I'm going to try to build up like a little bit of my confidence with this particular drawing. I'm going to do a rib. I'm going to do a second bottom of the rib. I'm going to do a third bottom of the rib. And now I'm doing my line that separates the light from the shadow. And so that line that separates the light from the shadow comes right into the iliac crest. And then I see it wraps around the gluteus medius. And then that hand is casting a shadow on the leg. But I'm just going to ignore that for now. And I'm going to wrap to the underplane of like the hamstring of this model's leg, and then we're just going to cruise to the back of that knee. So maybe what I want to do for more confidence building is I'm going to draw my line that separates the light from the shadow on the side of the breast, and then it goes around a rib, around another rib, and then it comes down. I've already got that. So maybe what I'm going to do next is I'm just going to come on in with a generic shading line and just shade on a diagonal. Okay, I'm shading on a diagonal like around the hip. So I'm trying to get like a little bit of a shape into the mix here because I see proportions better with shapes versus just lines. Okay, so I'm going to do that. Okay, that's working for me. And this whole underarm area, I'm also just going to give it a value. It's a little lighter because there's a reflected light, or it's not necessarily a reflected light. It is a secondary light source. A lot of these photographers love secondary light sources. I wish sometimes they wouldn't use the secondary light source, but you know, these photos are still phenomenal, so I'm not going to complain, okay? So, yeah, so now I'm going to come on down. I'm still working on this torso. It feels a little tall, so I could lower the breast a little bit, lower. Okay, so let's establish the center line of the chest, and I'm going to resharpen my pencil. Okay, cool. And I'm going to zoom in since I'm just primarily working on the torso. Okay. And I'm going to get another swig of this coffee. It's totally cold right now, but... So, Kendra, I'm still like this side right now. I'm not necessarily thrilled with the placement of the other breast, so I'm not ready to commit yet to this side. Okay, that's why it's still light. So I'm just fussing with this side for now. And now I'm going to establish like a center line, and that is the chest muscle. And then this chest muscle comes down to the bottom of this breast. It's a connector. It flows. And then there's a real tilt to the breast. Now, I'm just going to maybe get the width right here. Oh, I see. Yeah, that's wider than the rib cage area, so I can move this over to the right. And then we're going to curve around. Okay. So I'm going to predict that my sketch that I did loose with the opposite C's is going to blow this one away in terms of the proportions. I can see it already. So let's just get this chest. Let's establish this first rib here. This like little tone is first rib. And then we've got this model's collarbone, clavicle. And then we have this model's deltoid. So these are just like light lines, and I'm trying to figure out my placements. These are called like targets. And then I'm going to gesture down. So, all right, I'm seeing some little mistakes here. So this needs to go to the right more because I'm looking at the negative space or the negative space that I don't have. So, wow, this model's thin. So we've got the rib, another rib, and then we have this negative space. So I like that negative space shape a little bit better. And I am going to lift up. Yep. And okay, so cool. And now right at the bottom, close to the bottom of the breast is where that forearm would be. I'm just placing this, and then our model's fingertips I'll put like right there. Okay. Sweet. So I've got a little bit of a mess here, but we're struggling through it. This should not be that hard. So sometimes it fights you, and you're gonna have good days and bad days. I'm not saying this is a bad day, but sometimes you get it like within the first couple of minutes, and sometimes the proportions fight you a little bit. So now I'm going to kind of deviate from that square hip, and I kind of want to roll this. And there's always like this little phenomenon where it indents in, and then our hamstring droops, the meat of the muscle there. So now maybe I'll cruise on down. Cool. And I think I need to do all right. I'm not loving it, and I'm not hating it. So let's do shadow on the side of the breast. Let's do that, and I'm gonna re-emphasize this rib cage shadow line. It's a little bit darker, and I'm going darker at the iliac crest, and then this is. So I think I've got my own language. All these teachers use different terms. I think teachers call this like the Terminator. I call it the dark halftone, and I call it the line that separates the light from the shadow. So every teacher is going to have their different language for the same stuff. And that's normal. It's what makes that teacher. It gives that teacher their personality. So I'm going to do that cast shadow, and that's that other hip. And this is the navel. Okay. So I'm going to just go over this one more time and just establish like a dark value. All right. Now, we've got the quads. There's a little, goes to the bottom of the knee, back of the knee. And how far away is the back of the knee from that forearm? It's pretty far away. And I'm just going to do some angles for this knee. Don't do the knee round. It kind of looks like a blow-up toy if you do it round. Let me just look at this. Good morning, Art, Non. I used to, listen, Alexander, there is no correct and one definitive way to draw the figure. There's many, many different ways to draw the figure, and then we kind of combine that with that you're going to go through phases. So maybe for like a year you start your drawings by drawing the model's head, and then another year you don't start at the head. So when I was in my 20s and when I was in college, I always started with the head. I never start with the head anymore because I feel that it's better to start with the torso because the torso is the biggest part of the body. And I like to start with the torso because it enables me, that's a tongue twister, to place the body on my paper, not only to fit it on the paper, but also for my filming. So I kind of know where everything is. And this is such a big structure of the body that I think for me personally, So I'll get to the head next. I'll get to the head next. Let me lower this sheet of paper. Okay, 1 second. So it's not wrong to start with the head. However, all right, hold on. For me right now, starting with the torso is easier. Okay. So now, if I was going to do the head, so I'm going to think, oh God, proportions. Rib collarbone's going to be lower. And I'm looking at some negative space. So let me start all over. I promise you I'm going to draw the head next. I'm just going a little bit slower today. So I'm going to start again one more time at this chest underarm right here. And I'm looking at the width right there. Hold on, I just got to, 1 second. Okay. Of course, I feel like I got something in my eye. Wonderful. Gotta love drawing live here. So I'm going to get this chest, this little pocket in the chest pectoralis muscle. This doesn't need to be perfectly round. It's a little angular. I'm not worried about the reflected light. Beginner's mind really focuses in here on this reflected light. Don't even worry about that reflected light, secondary light source for now. Just kind of make this all the shadow side of the body. So I promise you, like it's coming up soon. I'm going to place the head and I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. I'm kind of overdoing my torso right now, and I should flow into other things. But I just want to make sure that I constantly am doing short drawings in the classroom. I teach in the animation department at the School of Visual Arts, and the students like the short ones because they have to animate. And when you animate, you kind of need to draw fast. So most of the students like 5-minute poses, 3-minute poses, 2-minute poses. It's some students like a 10, but like a 10 is we rarely do a 10-minute pose in the classroom. And if we do, it's almost like pulling teeth. And I'm not complaining. It's the animation department, so it's about speed. The illustration department may be like a little bit slower. So I kind of today, since I've been drawing short poses all semester, I kind of wanted to do. Okay, so what I'm not doing is I'm not doing connector lines. So this breast connects to that arm. Connector line. Shoulder. So now this head. So I'm just going to start the head by shape of the model's hair. So I'm getting that strand of hair that comes down, and when I look at that strand of hair, it's over here a little bit more. So, Alexander, the most important part is getting the top of the model's head with these angles. So I could flow in now also to the model's chin. This is a line of action. This would be our model's ear. This would be the neck, the trapezius into the trapezius. And so now we got interior for the hair. Now, when you're doing this, you're kind of leaning back. Lean back, look at your drawing from far away, recognize the neck. You don't want to give this model a linebacker's neck. You want the neck to kind of be somewhat thin. And so I think it's important to establish the bottom of the chin to the collarbone, and then the top of the head, and the shape of our model's hair. I'm not saying what I've got there is perfect, but it's a start. It's a start. So I'm going to tilt that cheekbone in. And now the other thing that you've got to do, Alexander, when you're doing this is you don't want to stare just at the head. Like as I'm drawing the head, I'm also looking at my reference quickly, and I'm looking at the head in relationship to my length of torso. And I'm also going to get this shadow shape in because shadow shape is going to be huge. Don't do the jawline so hard. Just kind of blend that shadow into the neck. And so I'm not saying that that's correct, what I did there, but I am saying that's my first go through with the head. Okay, that's my first go through, and I could always come back and fix it after. Now, in the grand scheme of things, like our model's face is really not that big at all. Okay, so I don't love it. I don't hate it. It is what it is. I'm just going to move on. So, what do I do when I don't feel like drawing, but I want to draw? Any tips? So, I repeat myself over and over and over again. Um, it's the most powerful tool to get your butt to sit down and draw is the subject matter. And if you're not into the subject matter, you are not going to sit down and draw. So so for instance, if there's a student in my perspective backgrounds class that hates backgrounds and it's time for them to do their homework, they're never going to sit down and do the homework because they don't like the subject matter and they're going to struggle to get the homework assignment in. For me, I just life drawing and drawing the figure, like I could do that in my sleep. This is what I like to do the most. And yeah, so that's one answer to that question is subject matter. There's other answers to that question, but it depends on whether you're doing this for a career or for a hobby. So if it's for a career, well, then you want to earn a living as an artist, well, then that's the carrot and the stick almost, where you better sit down to do your artwork if you want to make money and keep your clients. So that's a whole different beast of an explanation. But the hobby explanation is if this is your hobby and you don't feel like sitting down to draw, well, really analyze your subject matter. And that's one way to think about it. Okay, so let's get this leg. So I was talking with my students about some things that they should do over their winter break, and I was also talking to them about push and pull motivation, and there's such a thing as push pull motivation, and um, I was trying to get the students to figure out what maybe their minor and major might be with their careers, and I'm like, what part of your semester was torture? Like, when were you like pushed to do the homework? And you didn't want to do the homework, but you were pushed to do it because you didn't want to fail the class. So I say to them, I'm like, listen, if that's the case where you were like pushed to do the homework and you didn't like doing that homework, well, then that's not going to be the major that you're going to base your career off of. And then there's pull motivation where you have to be pulled away from doing the homework. And if like it's like you have to be pulled away from doing the homework, it's like you spent 12 hours on the homework and you're like, "Oh god, I still want to work on this." Well, then you're above your target, and that is what you should be doing. So pull and push and pull motivation are leading indicators. Leading indicators. I can't talk today. That will dictate to you are you're on the right track or you're not on the right track in terms of the subject matter of what you are doing. I can have a whole talk on that, but yeah. All right. Selena Girl, graphic illustrator, graphic panel illustrator. Yeah, the 90s were fun, weren't they? Um, I used to illustrate book covers for many, many, many years. And yeah, so in relating the push pull thing, so in the beginning of my illustration career, you had to pull me away from my easel. It's like that's all I wanted to do was paint. And like towards the end of my illustration career, you had to push me to go up into my studio. I'm like, oh God, another book cover. I really don't want to do this painting today. I've done this for like the last 15 years. Do I have to keep doing this? I'm getting so bored. And that's, yeah. And whenever you do something for 15 years, it's going to lose a little bit of that fun factor, for sure. Yeah, this model's head is really cool. So again, I'm gonna say that you want to. Oh, I got some issues with the way that I drew the head. Actually, um, it's just map it out. Just map it out with the shape of the hair. So there's this angle here now. That's an angle. This is an angle. And so technically, what I should do is get rid of this line because it's making the head feel too wide. Better, much better. So just moving that was almost an eighth of an inch, but less than an eighth of an inch. And now this part of our model's hair is taller than the right side of the part. So I'm going to curve that. Then this is the part. And then we have an angle. And then we have an angle here. And then this flows. And now I'm looking at the bottom of our model's hair to the top of the shoulders. So I can do some erasing with the top of the shoulders also, but I'm just going to leave it. Okay, we've been at it for 47 minutes. Okay, somebody gave me a thumbs down. Tell me why you gave me a thumbs down. What did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? Okay, so let's talk about this side of the body. If you have a class of 20 people, it's very hard to please everybody in the class. There's always going to be somebody that isn't happy. That's just part of the game. Um, all right, let's see here. Moved over the navel a touch. And then we've got this shadow shape thing here. Okay, and I'm going to just do some erasing. Pulling out some lights here. Cleaning this up, getting rid of that center line that's so stiff. It's that type of wind outside today that, when there's like a hurricane, they say it sounds like a train is coming through. Maybe I'm being like a little extreme, but you can just hear the wind. It kind of sounds like a distant train. Watching paint dry, excitement and anticipation. I'd go 14 hours straight, face focused. Yeah, I mean, God, that's what I used to do when I was a book cover painter, um, an illustrator. I would just work on a face for the book cover for the entire day. So it would have been like 8 to 10 hours of just painting a face. And they were tiny heads, and that's kind of what made it take me forever to do. Bigger head is much quicker to paint than a small head. So, all right, now we've got this tricep. Oh, forearm muscle. I don't want to outline this 100%. It's going to get really stiff really fast. And then that ulna bone is like right at the leg. I'm just going to outline the hands for now. Thumb, pointer finger, middle finger, tilt of the finger. So I'm just going to leave it like that for now. It's okay. Thumbs down. It's good to have a little controversy on a YouTube video. It's fun. But I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Okay, so let's. I hate that this buckles. All right, let's go to the kneecap region. And then this bump out is our tibia. Now, I want to make sure that I could get this leg to a place where I feel I like the proportions. So again, I'm not copying the hip exactly. I'm curving it. I kind of like the curve a little bit better. I don't like that it looks weird there because our model is kind of seated on a peg. So I want to droop that. And then we have some lines that curve up, curve up, curve up. And then there's a cast shadow here. I'm a little sloppy with this today. It's all good. Oh, cast shadow of the hand. Yeah, it rained here. I'm sorry, it snowed here. I think it was Sunday into Monday or Saturday night into Sunday morning. We got like almost 10 inches. And I was outside shoveling, snowblower, wiping down cars for about like 4 hours. Like, it was a lot. So I'm so happy that it's raining and we're getting rid of the remnants of the snow. We're glancing at that negative space. I'd rather have this leg longer than shorter. It does look a little longer. So I could always bring in the knee just by doing something like this. And that just brought the knee in a touch. I might regret that later, but I'm just looking from the hand to here. It's not that long. It's not that long. And so these are our extensors. And this calf muscle, gastrocnemius. Okay. How are we doing? I just gave. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. All right. Time out. Time out. I have not done a long drawing like this in a long time, for sure. Now, I forgot to mention. Oh God. Okay. Just when you think you're organized, you're not. For members of drawingtutorialsonline.com, I have the unedited version of this photo on a blog post with the video. So if you want to get, I did send out an email. If you want to get the unedited version of this so you can see everything, it's on the website. So just log in and get it. It would have been nice if I mentioned that at the beginning of the video. So let's curve around, curve around, curve around there. And see, this is an art unto itself, because I have my couple of drawing pads from school. I lugged that home on Thursday, and all the drawings in that sketch pad, they're all short duration drawings. Maybe I'll flip through that later. I don't know. This is so different doing this. And, you just got to kind of look through these tattoos. They're a little distracting tonally. They're cool, though. I could shade that negative space a touch. So now we did a video a couple weeks ago, maybe, where we talked about drawing with line, drawing with tone. Today I'm doing both. Um, I'm drawing with tone and I'm drawing with line. And I think that's the best way to draw. Oh, this bicep. Okay, so bicep. I think all my SVA students must be sleeping. Absolutely. Make that edge on that forearm really complicated. And then we have our side of our hand into the thumb. I'm just really outlining the hand for now. And I'm not going to draw all the fingers in this live stream. I'm just going to outline the hand as we're just suggesting. I'm sure I'd put you all to sleep if I drew that. I do not want a white Christmas. I do not want to deal with snow. No. And traveling in snow and shoveling snow and wiping snow off of the cars and making a path for the dogs to go outside. And yeah, no, I want a dry Christmas. A dry Christmas with no snow. So I guess bah humbug, I guess. Okay, deltoid. I'm doing line. Okay, so now I can get to the chin and the negative space of this cheekbone. Aye. Terrible line right there. And, God. Okay. And hair, negative space. Terrible. Okay, let's curve around. Let me zoom in a touch. I'm not ready to go to the legs. Let me just get. I need to stand up for a second. It's almost an hour I've been sitting in this chair, so I just want to grab my other pad. Hold on a second. Okay, let me just see. I got a lot of trash in here. All right, I'm just giving myself a break from drawing for a second here, and I'm going to zoom all the way out. Oh boy, I don't know if I can zoom this far out. So in the classroom, I do a lot of this. So what is this? This is just me trying to sneak in some drawings. In between. Let me do one. Hold on, time out. I'm gonna screw everything up. So I try to squeeze in these drawings in between when I'm teaching anatomy. Like I'll go over and I'll show anatomy and stuff like that. And I like drawing shape of hair. It's a great warm up. So I'll do like this would be more of like a demonstration drawing, and just press down hard and go over things at the end to show students what not to do. And then this would just be like a quick study of our model, show them like underplane tone. Again, at the top, we see a little bit of shape of hair. And then sometimes I'll do like full pose. That was probably about a good 5. This is when we were doing lots of gesture, this class. And just with the line of action and movement, that was a really good model. This was probably the next week, different model. Just squeezing in 5-minute poses. I'm sorry, this is warm up. These were probably like 2-minute poses. I get lazy sometimes and I don't draw the whole body. I just, I focus in on the torso. This is a successful page for me. So this one I use the ebony pencil. It's like a very, very soft graphite. Like it's like a 4B graphite. I love that page. That's a great, 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 great model. And so this is how long I pretty much draw when I'm in the classroom. Like I don't do long stuff there. So I wanted to share that with you. Oops. Let me zoom back in. Yeah. Okay, good. And let me zoom in even more. Awesome. I am gonna have a bathroom break right now, and I'm gonna get up. I'm gonna stretch. I will be back in 1 minute to continue with 3 thumbs down. Okay, love it, love it. All right, I'll be right back. All right. Let me move this so it's not covering our model. Sweet. Okay. I'm going to work on the torso for a little bit longer, and then we'll move around to other sections. Now, one thing that I like to do sometimes is I like to use a brush, and this kind of like pushes the pencil into the paper a little bit more, gives it like a nice soft vibe. So when you kind of erase, and then you can start to use your eraser a little bit more, and then also I like to use a Bristol brush. Also, I know I've showed this to you before, where I actually start to paint with it, and we give it a much softer vibe. Um, and this is just fun. I can't use any other word but that. Um, yeah, and so this is wonderful now when you go and you start to erase out. It has a really gorgeous soft feel to it. Okay. So I'm just really right now, I just am focusing in on the torso. I just feel like doing that today. I'm always open for requests from my YouTube family that watches me here um, for future videos. I'm always open for that. That's good. So any suggestions for future videos, let me know. Oops. Okay. So now I'm going to go through this again. So I'm going to refine it. I'm going to try. I'm going to try to refine it. There's some areas that I don't love, but it's all good. It's just if you just kind of trick your mind into thinking it's just practice. Um, yeah. Okay. Let me just look at the comments here. Yeah. I mean, Alexander, like everything, uh, everything with an artist's journey goes through phases. So when I was in my 20s, alls I did was the angles technique. And if you don't if you use different language than I do, the angles technique is very similar to the bark plates. It's very similar to like Anthony Ryder, who's a great artist whom I love, has a wonderful book, and Anthony Ryder calls the angles, the macro angles. I call it macro angles. He calls them the envelope technique, where you envelop the body in a series of angles. What the hell am I talking about? So what I basically mean is like you would say, "Oh, what's the big macro angle of that arm? What's the big macro angle of that leg?" And so I used to draw with the angles, and I used to draw with straight lines. And straight lines are extremely, extremely stiff. Now, I said that everything is about phases, right? So I did the angles when I was in my 20s, and then as you progress, you change as a human being and as an artist. And I did thousands of 2-minute gesture drawings over the years. And we do gesture drawings at the beginning of every single class. And when you do thousands of gesture drawings, you just, it's almost like impossible for me to do the angles. I do them. I did them here on the head. But for the body, like I'll think in my mind about the angles, but I won't necessarily physically draw with straight lines. So again, there's nothing inherently wrong with construction lines. It's all about where are you in your journey of learning how to draw the figure. And then after a while, you move away from the construction lines because maybe those construction lines now you do them mentally and not physically. I hope that made sense. But if I like that pad that I just showed you a moment ago, I have. I'm not lying. I'm not trying to pull anybody's strings, but I have hundreds of drawing pads with gesture drawings, and I would love to photograph them, but that would be like a full-time job because there's so many drawings, and I would need a full-time assistant just to photograph all of my drawings. It's out of control. I don't know what I'm gonna do with these drawings one day when I move out of this house. Um, yeah, I don't think I'm gonna bring everything with me. I don't know what's gonna happen with them, and but I have way too many drawings. And so when you do all of those drawings, you I every line that I draw on the paper is flowy and an S curve. So I try. I've realized that the angles technique, the envelope technique, the bark plates, it's just a stepping stone that trains your eye how to see um, angles and proportions. And then you move away from that and you draw in this other thing, Alexander, called style. Like, what's your personal style? And this is, I guess, my personal style for like a longer style of artwork, a longer style of drawing the figure with a pencil. Um, so let me just look at some of these questions. Can you do a video about drawing the pelvis in different areas of the hips? That's a good one. I like that. One post of the drawings per day. That's a good idea. I should do that. Um, absolutely, I should do that. I should do a lot of things, but that's a great idea right there. I can't really see what's going on here. I'm going to just zoom into my reference. Oops. Yeah, so this is very curvy. How do I do this? I don't want there to be cross-hatching. I don't want to destroy the light part of our model's body. I'm just trying to figure this out. So this would be the abs. And then we're curving around the lower abs with the cast shadow. Okay, I see. This is a line that we find on lower abs all the time. And this would be the tensor fasciae latae muscle. Cool. And I can see the hand a little bit better, a little bit more zoomed in. Let me resharpen the pencil. So people ask me, this was a topic in my fourth year students class. And they're like, can you, I'm like, let's have a request class, like request things that you're still struggling with, and I will do tutorials on them. And they're like, how do you draw small hands? Like, I have such a hard time with drawing small hands. And so I said, okay, if you have like a 10-minute drawing, a 5-minute drawing, and you're drawing a small hand, just focus on the edge. And that's what I'm doing right now. So I'm really, this hand's pretty wide. I'm focused in on the edge of our model's hand like this. And our model's hand is wider. Gosh darn it. Okay. But I like the line, and I don't need to copy it exactly. Always have to remind ourselves about that. It doesn't need to be copied exactly. And that's a good way to do a quick hand that's somewhat graceful. And then we could shade the thumb and have that blend. I see somebody posted a question. I'll get there in a second. Into the side of the hip. And, oh, I see. Zooming in, I see so much more information now. I'm curving around. I hope this is zoomed in enough. I see there are 2 questions. I promise you I'll look at them in a second. Okay, so I prefer your style to the bark atelier method, which lacks the expressive quality that in old master drawings. I've done bark drawing. I think the bark drawings are beautiful, but I think they're a stepping stone to your own style. It's more of a way of seeing the figure. That's just my opinion. You could disagree with me. Yeah, and do you have any tips on getting rid of laziness? Listen, I'm a human being, so I'm lazy too. Yeah, um, I everybody goes through phases, and maybe you're just going through a phase where you're feeling a little lazy. I don't know. Like, you have to have a grander mission for your life. a big vision for your life. And I've always had big visions for my life. My first big vision was becoming a freelance illustrator. And so that helped me not be lazy because I was like, I'm either going to be lazy or I'm going to have a regular job. Nothing wrong with a regular job, but I really wanted to be an illustrator. So I'm like, okay, if I'm going to be lazy, I'm never going to be an illustrator. There's too much competition. It's too hard. I'm not painting. Someone else is at home and they're kicking my butt right now, and I'm being lazy. So don't bellyache, Matt, if you're not going to be an illustrator. So one way to get rid of laziness is to have that grand vision for your life, something that you are working towards, um, that also contributes to the greater good. Okay, so that's one way to get rid of laziness. The other way that we already talked about on this live stream, and that is to draw the subject matter that you enjoy drawing. I know that some students hate certain subject matters, and that's when they struggle with their homework. And then I always could tell, like, when a student loves the subject matter, they get it in on time, the homework assignment. They're very passionate about what they did. They're excited when we're critiquing it, but when they're not into the subject matter, there's no passion whatsoever. So that's the other thing. There needs to be passion, for sure. I hope that made sense. But I'm a human being and I can get very lazy, just like everybody else. Oh, I see bicep. Oh, okay. I don't have this exact proportion thing right here, which kind of sucks, but um, damn it. Okay, it's fine. It's fine. Keep drawing, Matt. So what's cool about today is when this live stream is over, I'll work on this drawing a little bit more. It'd be nice to work on it and just resolve it more. Okay, that hand is very light, so I can get rid of the leg line. This doesn't need to be so dark. Feels a little stiff, actually. Okay, so, God, what do I do next here? All right, any figure drawing style questions? This is our deltoid into the acromion of the scapula, a little bony protrusion there. That's our clavicle. Having a hard time drawing that with the way my hand is positioned. This is our SEM muscle. Perhaps our chin is a little lower. And then this is trapezius on the back side. Now we've got to pay attention to the width of our model's neck. We don't want to give this model too thick of a neck. That would be weird looking in. Yeah. I mean, maybe you just need to do some journaling and, go deep and figure out what's making you be lazy about it, and So maybe it's just something that only you could answer. And yeah, so it could be that you just need to do like a little journaling on the topic. But that's what we were doing on the last day of school. Um, on the last day of school, the first hour of class, I made the students journal about a bunch of things pertaining to their semester and what they can change moving going into next semester. Think what could they improve, what systems could they make. Yeah, I know that it made them think because they weren't distracted. They were actually writing, so I was very happy about that. Um, how much style is there for figure drawing? Can you name some? I could try. Let's see. So there's realistic drawing. There's tonal drawing. There's line drawing. I sound like the guy from Saving Private Ryan, the guy who was talking about like the shrimp, because he worked on a for a shrimp company and or his family had a shrimp farm. He's like, there's gumbo shrimp and there's Cajun shrimp. It was so funny. So that's how I feel like I sounded like that person in that movie. So there's there's gesture drawing. There's yeah. So I'm thinking of first you just kind of divide it into line or tone, or line and tone, and then you can think about it as gestural or realistic. Because gesture drawing is a whole different beast. So those are just some basics there. I tried drawing this in pen. Okay, so at least you experimented. So maybe now what you want to do is you want to write down your experience with that pen. Um, because there are some pens and pencils that I'll use, and then I'm like, oh my god! Like one of my experiences with the Colorace green pencil is that it's just way, way, way too soft of a. It's a different Colorace pencil. It's extremely soft compared to this black pencil, which is a little bit harder. So like it's very, very, very absolutely important that you write that down so you don't repeat if you don't like it, that and you are maybe a tad frustrated that you don't like it. You don't want to repeat that by accident again. You want to know, oh, okay, I did this in pen. Maybe that wasn't the best choice at this present time. So it's important that you journal that out. Um, I'm just kind of getting in the features very lightly here. I kind of want to do this off camera because I want to get closer to the head and I want to zoom in a little bit more on my photo reference. And yeah, so we're just suggesting features right now. Yeah, this is a good one. These poses are freaking phenomenal. Very different. I don't know if that needs to be moved over. And the chin needs to curve under. Yeah, I'm gonna work on that head off camera. It's tiny, and it's so far away from me. My hand is over my heart drawing that. We're gonna call that head about 7/8 of an inch, or the face 7/8 of an inch. So I'm just way too far away from it right now. So I'm just kind of suggesting. Any tips on judging the shape of curves? I tend to be off with mine. For example, some start with a heavy arc and become shallow towards the end. Um, so hold on, I'm thinking about too many things right now in my brain. I want to draw this eyebrow, but I'm also thinking about the answer to your question. I would maybe even talk about that like in a different way. And the way that I would talk about that is, I appreciate you joining us, Kendra. Thank you so much. Um, the way that you've got to think about that is like this thing that I like to call size relationships. So if I had a scrap piece of paper, I do. So like it's very important. I know my camera's freaking out right now. So I have my students do this exercise where we draw a black cherry, or like real life size black cherry. Okay. And we shade it and we do other things, but for now, I'll just outline it. And then the next shape next to that black cherry would be a blueberry. So a blueberry next to a black cherry might look like that. And then we do another shape, which would be a chia seed. And that chia seed, that's too big actually for a chia seed. Maybe chia seed would be like that. So like you just have to start to become aware of how things relate to one another, right? So in this particular drawing, I'm doing two things. I'm analytically, I haven't done any measure lines, but I kind of, let's go back to this. So on this, I'm like, okay, if this is the model shoulder, like what's right below that? So this will help, but you also just need to visually look at, say, from the hip to the knee and get a sense of how wide is that compared to how tall that is. Like it's not easy to do. I'm not saying it's easy, but it's you need to just visually compare the sizes of things. And I'm not saying I have it mastered by any stretch of the imagination, but this is a good way for you to think about it: the cherry, the blueberry, the chia seed. Now, this is what my students struggle with. Some, not all. So, for instance, I don't know, Elijah, you're probably sleeping and not watching this. That Elijah is one of Elijah's last pieces for my perspective class. It was the vehicles. So we all had to do a vehicle, a car, a machine. That was the assignment. And Elijah had done, I think, an ice cream truck that served pizza. And Elijah's size relationships in terms of the cups. Like, so there was a plastic cup in the street in this scene, and the plastic cup was ginormous. It was bigger than the character inside of the ice cream truck's head. And then there was another cup on a table where somebody was eating, and that cup looked like a baby cup compared to the cup that was on the ground. So, like, and I see this all the time with students' work, like when they're doing interiors for their animation backgrounds. It's like they're like the doorknob or the light switch on the wall will be massive. Like it'll be like a doorknob for like Shrek. And then the door in and of itself will look like a door for like a Hobbit. And so the size relationships are often. So the first way to deal with that, Phoenix, is to, number one, just be aware that these things, these sizes of things relate to one another, and then just be conscious of it, and then do exercises like the black cherry, it could be anything. It could be an egg next to a light bulb if it's like a still life thing. But for me, it's other things. And like right now, I know for a fact that this head is off. It's not the exact proportion to the body. But at least I know that. Like, at least I know it. And if I want to take the time to adjust that, I'll take the time to adjust that. So maybe this eye socket needs to come out to the left. I don't think maybe, I think absolutely. So like I could see that I have a lot of things that are off on my particular drawing. So then the question comes into play, do you care? And is it gonna, like, is it important that you try to adjust these things? Or do you just want to focus on the drawing as like a whole and not get too caught up in the minutia of every little shape? So these and all of this again, this breast is too tall. My God. Okay. All of this again is dependent upon your personal style. Why are you doing these drawings? What's the pleasure you derive from doing these drawings? Let me sharpen this eraser. Yeah, and that's the bigger picture. Here we go. This should not be so hard. God damn it. Okay. Ay, ay, ay. Okay, this should be easy. This should be easy, Matt. This should be easy. What are you doing? Let's just lower this. I shouldn't be doing this right now, but I'm pulling out this reflected light a little bit. It's just I'm getting into the weeds here. I don't want to make it light like that side. I'm just pulling it out a little. Oh, yeah, it goes here. Just look at the reference more than you look at your drawing. This is still too tall. Still a little dark. Let's just take the kneaded eraser and drag it on top of that. Still too tall. Let me resharpen my pencil. That's the wrong pencil. Okay. And this is not really dark. Gosh. Okay. It's lighter on this side. Okay. I butchered that. This is all very light. It's all good. I'm a little all over the place with it here today, but I'm having fun, and I hope you're learning something. And if you have any other questions, just let me know. Wow, an hour and a half in. Um, what's wrong with a soft pencil? Is there a difference between pencils? Um, oh, yeah, for sure there's a difference between pencils. And there's nothing wrong with a soft pencil at all. It's just the Colorays green pencil for me is too soft. So then when I start to brush it out with a brush, everything just gets lost. Like the pencil starts to disappear. It's almost like when you're painting and you do an underdrawing and then you paint on top of it with your underpainting, all of the pencil disappears from the paint. And you're like, oh my God, I just wasted all that time doing my underdrawing and I didn't spray fix my underdrawing and now it's gone. So there's nothing wrong with soft pencils. It just depends on what you're trying to accomplish. I'm just going to focus on the shadow on the side of the face here. we've got this cheekbone. And that cheek, eye, side plane, and upper lip and lower lip. So the chin needs to be cleaned up. I'm going to make this a touch wider, which in turn will make that head feel a little bigger. This needs to be moved over. Better. Not great, but better. I'm not there with the exact likeness today. And it's probably because I do so many short drawings that I try to explain to my younger students in the animation department that I should put a piece of paper over this because I can feel the moisture of my hands starting to warp that a little bit. Make the paper buckle a touch. Well, that's no good. Now I can't see the chat, so I'll just leave it. It's fine. Do I have scrap paste paper? Yes, I do. Okay, so the question is, do I have any tips on enlarging your drawing than what you see? I tend to when I'm drawing in my studio here, I tend to draw the size of the photo just naturally. Today, I noticed that I drew like maybe 20% bigger than the photo. In the classroom, what I do is if my drawing pad is 18 inches tall, I usually draw the figure about 14 inches tall because I have 2 inches on 2 inches on either side, the bottoms of the feet and the top of the head, and I put that there for fudge factor. So I guess that the tip is that when you're first practicing it, I don't use this thing, but I have it because I just thought I should have it. What you could do is use this. I forgot what this is called. This proportion divider, and you just get the exact proportions of your photo, and then just make it a little bit bigger on your page with moving this, and then you get the exact proportions. And so I would practice doing it that way. That would be a good way to practice. Yeah, and then let's say the photo that you're working from is 6 inches tall. You say I'm gonna do it 9 inches tall, or I'm gonna double the size. So like I would try to do it mathematically in a way that kind of makes sense. Like I used to do that when I would paint book covers. Like I would mathematically like double my sketch. So if my sketch was 8 by 10, my painting would most likely be like 16 by 20. But then I didn't like going up double, so I went up maybe another 25% in height and width and proportionally, and that helped me a lot. I want to get a little gravity with this leg. I don't have any gravity with it. So Batman, I do not draw every day. Um, I draw the most 5 days a week. So on Monday is when members of drawingtutorialsonline.com, members of my website, Mondays are days that I do video critiques. So what I do is I draw and paint digitally on top of their artwork. So that is my drawing on Monday. On Tuesday, I have this live stream, and I also have a Zoom class for the members of my website, drawingtutorialsonline.com. So I draw on the live stream and I draw on in my Zoom class. And then Wednesday, I'm drawing all day in the classroom. It's a 9 to 3 class. So I'm doing demonstrations and I'm drawing from the model kind of all day on Wednesday. And then on Thursday morning, I have another life drawing class. So I'm drawing in that class a lot. I'm drawing on student pads, and I am drawing on my pad, drawing on my iPad, doing demonstrations. And then Friday, I'm drawing in the classroom on my Wacom Cintiq screen. And that I'm drawing perspective stuff, doing demonstrations. And then that class isn't as much drawing, but there's drawing. And then I draw on top of people's artwork when I'm critiquing it in a minimal way. It's a lot more talking with the critiques because of time. There's just not enough time for me to draw on everybody's artwork. Okay, I think we're going to go till about 12 just because my arm's going to explode soon because my arm is above my chest. And I don't know how exciting this is at this point for everybody. I'm going to go back to this brush. For a huge chunk of my life, probably 15 years to 18 years when I used to be an illustrator, um, I can say I mostly um, I drew or painted something 7 days a week, um, mostly 6 days a week, and that was just the nature of the beast of being an illustrator at the time and meeting deadlines. So what I'm doing now is I'm just kind of going over my line and re-looking at the reference, and I'm trying to make things look a little bit more complicated. And I think this leg, it's kind of a little too long. Again, is that a bad thing? Not necessarily, because I'd rather aesthetically, I like longer legs. So it's actually, maybe it's better that I made that leg a little bit longer just because I don't like shorter legs. on my drawings. Everybody's different. Yeah. And that's much thicker also. Just go over and make your edge line a little thicker. So you're bringing variety of value into the piece. Just trying to make this line thicker. Doing a little bit of that Raphael convex line that rolls into the form. And I'm not copying the photo exactly. A little rib. There's a lot going on over here. It's hard for me to see because the photo is so small right now. So after the live stream, I'll probably draw a little bit on my own and I'll zoom in some more to the reference. This is way too thick. Gee whiz. Okay. All right. Any other questions? I kind of don't want to zoom out and do the rest of it on this live stream because I think I just kind of want to focus on what I've got here. I just wanted to do a longer duration drawing on the live stream. And then I'll work on this a little bit more today, and perhaps I'll post it to the posts here on YouTube and my Instagram page. See how it comes out. Just really pay attention to the line that separates the light from the shadow. Curve that around the body. There's a lot of information that I haven't put here in the chest, like these striations in the chest muscles, because the arm is up holding the what is called the trident. Yeah, absolutely. You know, the Angra pencil drawings are really difficult. The line drawings, they're really difficult to copy. Um, but I would probably draw one of the paintings, and maybe I would talk about one of the drawings, but to draw the Alphonse Maria Mucha line drawings and to draw something like an Ang line drawing it's very difficult because a lot of their drawings were their clothes that they drew on portrait studies were very loose, and it's extremely difficult to replicate like somebody's loose pencil stroke. But yeah, for sure, that sounds like a good suggestion right there. I would do that. Right now, I really love John Singer Sargent stuff. I used to love Sargent, and then you know you like an artist for a while, and then you move on to your somebody else who you really are inspired by, and then you've had enough at looking at like one artist. This happens. It's just the nature of life. Everybody like you might have a teacher that you really love, and then you follow that teacher for a little while, and then they keep repeating the same stuff, and you're like, yeah, I kind of had enough of this teacher, and then you find a new teacher. So it's the same way with like artists that you admire. You'll admire an artist and you'll follow them for a while, whether they're a modern day master or an old master, it doesn't matter. And then you'll get sick of that. You'll just get sick of it and bored, and you're like, I need something new. I need variety, and those are two of like the six human needs I was talking about in class. Um, and the two that you start off with the six human needs are, number one, you've got to have certainty. And then the other one is the bipolar opposite. You've got to have uncertainty. So it basically means that you like when there's some stability in your life, but if there's too much stability, well, then you get bored. So, yeah, and I try to talk about some of this stuff with my students so they can figure out their major and their minor for their career. So I love talking about all that career stuff. Well, I appreciate that, Kendra. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your kind words and joining. Teachers are just this thing that I remember when I first started my website back in the day, and people were joining, and then the first person that canceled, I was like, oh my God, they canceled. What did I do wrong? Oh my God, I must have fucked up. And then I realized that students cannot keep the same teacher forever. They get bored and they need different voices. And it's because of the six human needs. They need variety. So it's not that the teacher did anything wrong. It's that it's the natural progression for students to evolve and listen to different teachers' voices, different voices. A lot of teachers they basically all say the same thing, but they say the same thing in different language and different words, so it feels different. But it's the same, because there's only so many different ways that a teacher can talk about, like form. Like I'll teach form, and then like I'll meet a student like a couple years later, and like, oh, I had this teacher, and they helped me with form, and my drawings are so much more three-dimensional now. And it's just that particular student liked that teacher's language better than my language. Like the words that other teacher was saying just connected better with that student. And so you can't really get offended by it. It's just it's the way people like learn. Again, Kendra, thank you so much for that. All right, what else can I do here? What else can I do? Maybe I'll zoom out in, and I'll just kind of show you how I would map out the rest of it for the rest of the drawing. Where's my remote? Because we've kind of almost been at this for like 2 hours, and my shoulder's screaming at me right now. So let me just lift up the paper, and I'll map out the rest of it. Now, listen, if you're interested in learning more from me, consider a membership to my website, Drawing Tutorials Online. I am currently on a 3-week hiatus from doing the member critiques. I basically, how many weeks in a year? 52. So I basically critique 52 minus 3. Pretty much critique for about 49 weeks out of a 52-week year. And I give myself a break from critiquing member artwork during the New Year's and Christmas holiday season, just so I don't lose my sanity, and I give myself like a mental break from critiquing, because the amount of critiquing that I do for my students at SVA and students on my website. And then in the summer, I do artist coaching, one-on-one coaching. It's a lot. And if you don't replenish yourself in terms of giving yourself like a little bit of a break, you just get completely fried and burned out. And so I try to avoid that at all costs. So now, are there any connectors? Oh, I'm looking for the lower leg, but I zoomed in and I don't see it. So we've got this, and where does this back of the knee start? It starts, it kind of flows, I think, from that heel. So that's a connector down, and then just give yourself that quick little suggestion of that foot. And then this knee intersects kind of more near the front of the foot, and it comes down into the top. So you just kind of gesture that out a little bit. I know that's very hard to see on YouTube. And when you do this, and then we said what? What's right below that heel? So the edge of this is right below. Please be in the middle. Please be in the middle. Please be in the middle. No, it's not in the middle, but it feels okay to me. I'm not going to try to fix it right now, but I would just map that out that way. And then what is really helpful when you're doing something like this is to also look at the distance between the 2 feet, but to add some shapes of value. Any shapes are always going to be helpful when doing something like this, okay? So let me zoom back in, and we're going to close this thing out. Does anybody have any final questions for me before we call this close to 2-hour live stream finished? Yeah, so this is what we've accomplished today. There's some parts of it that I like. There are some parts of it that I do not like. It's all good. I hope you learned something from this. And maybe next week we'll do an Ang drawing, and we'll do an old master copy just to get away from working from the photos for a moment here. And I think I always love doing old master copies for sure. Yes, and again, for members of DTO, I've got this photo reference unedited on the website. So if you're looking for this, you can get it there. All right. Yeah, that was fun. That was a lot of fun. Still needs a lot of work, for sure. It needs a lot of work, but for 2 hours, I'm cool with the way that it came out. And yes, all right. Boy, it's crickets out there. I'm going to see you all next week. I don't know, maybe, my next sketchbook video that I'm posting up is going to be a cool one. It is a sketchbook of Nico's that has a ton of storyboard style drawings in the sketchbook. So I think it's like a really, really fun sketchbook. I'm either going to post that on Monday or Tuesday. I'm not quite sure. Yeah, you got it, Alexander. We'll do an Ang drawing. I'll write that down on my piece of paper here so I don't forget. And I'm gonna probably go take a stretch break and then come back and work on this a little bit more. Thank you so much. Yes, Kendra, thank you for watching. Thank you for your kind words. And I appreciate all of you who joined me here today on the live stream. So let me just kind of switch cameras now and close this out. Sweet. Yes. So, oops, 1 second. This is our little sketch here today. And I think it's pretty graceful. It just needs more work. And again, I'd rather have the legs longer than shorter any day of the week. But make no mistake about it. It's a 2-hour drawing while talking. It needs another couple of hours for me to really bring it home. Kimberly, thank you so much for joining me today, us here today on the live stream. Again, I'm open to suggestions for these. I think the next one's going to be the Ang drawing. I think that would be really, really fun. And Phoenix, I appreciate you joining me here today. And yeah, the next sketchbook is going to come out the beginning of next week. And I'll do another live stream either on a week from today or before Christmas. Who knows? Maybe I'll even do 2. I don't even know. We'll see. But I think that's what you can expect from me next week. I'll do a sketchbook video Nico's sketchbook video, and then another live stream class. All right. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you joining me. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Thank you, Burnt Fishes. Thank you, Helen. Thank you, Angelia, for joining me today. Again, both of you, the references in the DTO website. You can download that there. And yeah, you got it. You got it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And if I can sound like a YouTuber, click on the notifications. Click on the notifications so you can get notified when I go live next. All right. I'll see you next week. Thank you, everybody.